Welcome back. The title of this mini lecture is Baseball Cards, A Short History. All right. So we're going to talk about 5 terms that as you do more work on this, these are good to kind of get you started with thinking about places to go for again, some of this work. So let's get into it. So the first is broad, a couple of broad terms. So really just photos and sporting goods. So baseball cards for someone who was born in the 1980s and loved baseball loomed large in my own childhood, but they start to come in at the end of the 19th century, and we have to grapple with the idea that in the middle to late part of the 1800s in America, photography is a new medium, right? The exchange of photographs is a new process, and it's one that is engaging for people. We also have to understand that in the late 19th century, you're seeing as well, with rising industrialization and urbanization, the development of sporting goods companies. And you're also, through the rail and through the post, you're seeing the ability to get goods to people all over. And so you're having this interest in this new medium, and you're having these new companies that are looking to advertise. So you're seeing this sort of series of factors that are coming together. The second point for us is cigarette cards. All right, cigarette cards. So by the end of the 1800s, early 1900s, the very common thing that you would see is cards placed within packages of cigarettes. Now, this isn't just going to be about baseball, but if you go look at digital archives of cigarette companies and kind of what they would have had, both in the US and abroad, corporate backing of any number of different forms of events or forms of government that could be serialized was a very popular thing to do at the end of the 1800s, early 1900s. But in America, as baseball is growing in popularity, this is where you're going to see a number of these images of players put onto these cards and then sort of sent out that way. You don't get the flip to this being directed more so towards children until later. The first cards in which you can get bubble gum, a stick of gum, which admittedly when I was younger, it has a distinct taste to it. But that's the 1930s. That's the 1930s. This is before you're going to get the rise of Topps, which, kind of has a monopoly on a lot of this, at least at one point. But the 1930s, right around 1933. The next term for us is Honus Wagner. All right. So Honus Wagner was an incredibly important, baseball player, in the early 1900s. And Honus Wagner's cards, from that particular time, of which they're quite rare now, are a reflection of really where card culture flips in the latter part of the 20th century. So, you see the rise from cigarette cards to more packs that can be bought in stores, and with gum, clearly catered towards young people. By the time you get to the 1970s, 80s, really, the card culture and the market for this is going to explode. And you're going to see then the value of earlier cards explode as well. And so Honus Wagner's card is a reflection of that, being sold for well over $1 million and that kind of thing. That brings us to our fourth point, which is the 1980s and Upper Deck. So in the 1980s, card culture grows in its popularity, and you would see a wide variety of forms of this on display, from new companies offering new ways to look at cards, to also, of course, card shops, ways to rank cards and value cards. Beckett Baseball Card Monthly was one of the main ways in which you could check these rising values of what you were getting in your pack. That this was something that, you were, sort of connected to, right? You were connected to. And that brings us, and Upper Deck would be an example of a company that comes in and they introduce a line of cards in like 1989, their first series, and it was quite expensive at the time. All right, this brings us to our fifth point, which is apps and today. In recent years, right, you've seen the consolidation of some of this market. The value has partly fallen out. Collecting processes are different. You still have some within this who look to connect to the physical pack, who look to connect to the physical card. But you also, of course, have others who have moved into more of a digital space. And so the idea of cards on an app, is something within recent years that has also, grown in popularity. Thank you very much.